Hello, my name is Alex, and today's podcast is Living History with Alex. Today's interview is with Mr. Jim Loretta, a Vietnam Army veteran. So today, we're going to ask him a few questions, and we're going to learn about his history. So, Mr. Jim Loretta, where were you born, and when did you serve?
Well, I was where or when? When?
Both.
Okay. I was actually born out of the United States. I was born in Mexico. My father was transferred there when my mother was pregnant with me. At the time, they were originally from Ohio, and they got sent down to Mexico with a job, and then I was born in Mexico. Where did I serve? Well, I went into the service in 1979 after I got out of college, and I was at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, was where I went ahead and went through my basic training there at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and then after Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So,
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah. So you served, and I heard you served in Vietnam?
Yes. So when you go into the service, you don't go right into Vietnam. You need to go through basic training. And so because I had been through college already, they really wanted me to become an officer, but that required another year. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to go on about my life. I wanted to start my career. I wanted to get going. So what happened was that at the time in 1969, the draft happened. And so that Uncle Sam called me and they said, okay, you have to report to service. I said, fine, okay. So then that's when I went to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I was there for, I'd say 6 or 7 months, and then I came down on what's called a levy, a list to go to Vietnam. So I was sent to Vietnam then at the time.
So what was your role in Vietnam?
So at the time, my role in Vietnam was I was put in a capacity of kind of more administrative. They sent me to a engineer group, a 20th engineer group. And the 20th engineers, Vietnam had 4 different areas of operation. I Corps, 2 Corps, 3 Corps, 4 Corps. If you can figure a map cut up into 4 parts. And I was sent down to what's called 4 Corps, which is way, way, way down south, and the Mekong Delta, right? Which was the heart of the VC. That's where the heart was right there. That's where they were. These were the people that were South Vietnamese sympathizers with the North. So the VC that's where they were. They were down in the 4 Corps. So I was with the 20th Engineers, and our mission was to build roads. We built roads, the engineers did, and also we blew up roads. I mean, bridges and stuff like that. So, but my mission was to make sure that we had enough people according to their billets, so that I would make sure that we had enough truck drivers, enough people who could run heavy equipment machinery. We had to have enough people, so I was in charge of make sure that there was enough personnel to fill those roles.
So are there any memorable moments to you in Vietnam?
Memorable moments. I had to, let's see. Yes. I had to go get my glasses at the time. I wasn't, this is a funny story. When I went I wasn't wearing glasses before I went into the service, but they said, well, you're going to need glasses because your eyesight's not 20/20. So originally I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to be either a helicopter pilot or a jet. I wanted to do that. But I took the test and my eyes did not, they said, no, you can't have it because your eyes are not good. So anyway, I got glasses and I broke the glasses that I had at the time. Somehow they broke. And so we were down in Canto, and everything was done by helicopter there. So I took a helicopter from the Canto airfield all the way to Saigon, which was probably maybe an hour away or something like that. Everything was kind of close. And we got shot down at the time. We had a failure on the helicopter. So I was in the helicopter crash. I mean, I made it out okay. It was as we were on the final approach. We were coming in, and then I guess we took incoming or something like that. And so, yeah, that was pretty traumatic. Yeah.
So you made it back to Saigon?
No, we made it back to, we were almost right outside of Saigon, and then they picked us up, and I had to go to a hospital in Japan because I had injuries. I hurt my clavicle, I had some injuries, and so I had to go to Japan.
So also, after your service in Vietnam, what else do you do in the military?
So when I got out of Vietnam, at the time they were I got out in 1971. They started to incorporate the Vietnam troops, the ARVNs, the Army, Republic of Vietnam. They wanted that, it was called Vietnamization. So they started turning over bases and stuff to the Vietnamese. So give them, they can go ahead and handle it. So we started withdrawing our troops, and so I was part of the withdrawal. We had the 9th Infantry Division that was down at the Mekong Delta, which we supported. The 9th went home, and then pretty soon we went home after that. So when I got back and I got out, as soon as I got out of the service, as soon as I got home, I ETS'd. It means I left the service because I had put in my service. In order to have an overseas service, you had to serve at least 1 year, but they made a rule saying actually it's not 1 year, it's 10 months. You got to be there at least 10 months to be in overseas duty. So I was there 10 months and 23 days is how long I was in Vietnam. So and the reason why I got out right away is that if you had less than 5 months to go, they'll let you out right away. So I had a month, I had 1 year and 7 months total. So I had a little less than, so they said, we're just going to let you out. As opposed to having going to serve another year, they had go have, a 3-year commitment. And I didn't do that. So as soon as I got out, I went to work with Firestone Tire and Rubber Company. I got a job.
So what kind of artifacts have you brought for us today?
Well, I brought my uniform here, as you can see. You have the different, here's my unit patch, is a 20th Engineer Group. You can see the 20th Engineer. I was a Spec 4, Specialist 4. These are different unit medals for. We were awarded different medals for for loyalty or whatever. They give you. This is for unit patches. These here is the Army Commendation Medal, the Vietnam Service. This is the National Defense Medal. And then these two other ones here, I believe there's a Good Conduct Medal, Army Commendation Medals. They're all right here. And then over here is a Spec 4. Over here you can see that this is the Army, U.S. You see in the Marine Corps it'd be different, or the Navy. This here you can see is, you can tell that that's the U.S. the insignia of the Army, and then the U.S., United States. What else do I have? This is the, can I just pick it up?
No.
Okay. So this was a 3rd Army. That's a division. It's called the 3rd Army. And this This is a very old unit. Goes back to World War I. Like Colonel Patton was in the Third Army. So when I got back to the United States, actually, as soon as I got out of the service, but before I went to Vietnam, I was in the Third Army, and then you can see I don't know if you see the name tag Loretta there. It's there.
Yes.
And then U.S. Army. So this is basically a fatigue, a work. This would be a work shirt that we would wear every day. It's pretty thick, you can see, and this would be, I don't know what kind of uniform it would be, but this is the kind of thing that we would wear every day. This is not what we would not wear. This was worn. This is before Vietnam. Actually, this is before Vietnam. In Vietnam, we had I'm sorry I don't have the material we had for that, but it was much lighter weight,
Yeah, due to the jungle.
Yeah, we had jungle, like jungle fatigues or camo.
And I see you brought your Vietnam veterans hats as well.
Yes. So I brought this over. So you can tell these are the Vietnam, the ribbons for the Vietnam. One's from the U.S. and that one's from the country of Vietnam, and the other one was two are from the U.S. and one is from the Vietnam. So when you see these three ribbons like this, you can tell they're a Vietnam veteran. Those three. And I have what else do I have on here? Well, I have different medals from the American Legion and stuff like that I wear. I usually wear that like the Vietnam Veterans Day or a patriotic day. This hat here was a boonie hat that was, call it a boonie hat, that was good because it would keep the rain, also for the rain, also the heat. So this isn't the actual one that I had. I mean, I got this right after I got out. I just got a new one. The one I had people would put insignias on there. You'd put your name on there. You put a nickname. I think at the time I went to college in Ohio, and I think I put down, Ohio, and I went to Xavier. I put down XU, my university on there, stuff like that. Yeah. It's called the boonie hat.
Yeah, they're still used today as well.
Yeah, the boonies are. Yes, I think they are. Yeah. So after. Yeah.
So did you feel like you were making history at the time?
It was really a tough time then, and back in 1969. There was a lot of people who were against the war completely. They were protesting against the war, and I mean, it was really bad.
Tension was really high after the war.
Yeah,
and during the war.
After the war, I remember when I came back, a lot of guys went ahead and took their uniforms off because we were given this uniform. It's a brand new uniform. When we got to San Francisco to come home, they gave you a brand new uniform. I mean, this has hardly been worn at all. This is a brand new uniform. Guys would take it off and they put it on there because they didn't want to go, because people were calling us baby killers, and it was I mean, there's a lot of fights and stuff like that. And so I remember I went back to Cincinnati, Ohio and stuff, and you can tell people that they had been in the service just by their short haircut. Back then they were, the hippies were in, so they had long hair and stuff like that. So we tried to avoid them because they would kind of gang. There was a lot of people were getting in fights and stuff like that. They didn't appreciate what was happening. So that was hurtful. That hurt a lot.
Yeah, after the war and during the war, there was a lot of tension between civilians, whether either to end the war, or to keep the war going.
Yes, and it was probably the unfortunate thing about that war is that it was a political war. You know what I mean? It was most are political wars, And so it's too bad that, they said, well, we lost Vietnam. Well, they didn't allow us to win the war. In other words, there was what's called the rules of engagement. You can only do this. You can only fire you can fire on them if they fire on you, type stuff. And it was kind of like going to a fight with your hands, behind your back, or just fight with one arm. So it was very discouraging for a lot of people.
So,
Yeah.
Thanks. And what kind of advice would you give to a person like me?
I think that I think it's commendable to serve our country. I think everybody, in order to appreciate the country, should serve in some kind of capacity, whether it be in the service, a firefighter, whatever. I think it's and all services are great. I think that regardless of if you're Republican, Democrat, or whatever, we're all Americans, and we all bled for freedom. And I don't think we should ever lose the fact that there's a lot of people who died for our freedom. And so I think it's honorable for kids to know about how important it is to stay in the fight and to keep fighting for our freedoms.
Thank you. Thank
All
you
right.
for your time today. That's it for today on Living History with Alex. Stay tuned next time for more Living History.
Thank you.